Baby, it's time to ride the funk train. Well, this last weekend, me and the Queen of Funk went to North Carolina to see the New York Shits take on the Carolina Pussycats backups, and we had a good time. Now, we drove all the way back because we don't dig Charlotte too well, and when we got back, I went to sleep. So that Sunday morning, I wake up in a fog, and I turn on the computer, and I go to eBay, which I never do. And what do I see on eBay? I see this. I've never seen this before in my life. What is it? And there was only 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to bid, and it was like at $20. So in my haze, not thinking clearly, I bid about 30, and the thing sold for 66 bucks. Nobody listed this game anywhere. This game was like a fart in the wind. Who knows? So today we're going to unravel the mystery of Atari 7800 Vong.
Since the beginning of time, there's only been one website with the Babylons to claim every game reviewed when it came to the Pro System, and that's Atari7800forever.com.
But now it's time to get on that YouTube trip, babies. And who am I? I'm Funkmaster V, musician, ghost hunter, hat flipper, pro wrestler, comedian, actor, filmmaker, and I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour of all things cool about Atari and the Atari 7800 with a podcast, news, even new crap. Baby, are you ready to get your groove on? Because it's about to get funky up in here.
It doesn't take a rocket scientist or a New York Jets fan to figure out that Vong probably has something to do with the game Pong. In fact, the label is pretty much a rip-off of that 2000-ish Hasbro version of Pong that was really, really popular back in the day. Unfortunately, this game is not swanky like that. The story of this game, I found out, is pretty interesting. I went to the usual suspects to try to find out, hey, what the hell is this game? I've never heard of it. And for me, that's pretty wild. And a couple hours later, after I went to Atari Age and Atari IO and Facebook, Trevor, of all people, a superhero in the Atari 7800 universe, he's known for having a YouTube channel where he shows gameplay, but probably more important, he compiles a lot of the 7800 ROMs, and he has them over there at Atari Age. So all you got to do if you have a game drive or a color card is go find the thread that has all of the ROMs, and you can get all the ROMs, and you can play almost every game, about 90 to 95% of every game that's ever been conceived for the 7800. Well, during this auction, I went through my ROM pack, as the cool kids call it. Couldn't find Vong. But Trevor saved the day and said, hey, this one must have fell through the cracks. The story is interesting behind this game, but first, Vong means vertical Pong. Now, if you're wondering, making Pong vertical really doesn't do anything to the gameplay. And this game is not complete. So, and what we also found out, there's only 5 versions of this card. So if you're lucky enough to find Vong in the wild, don't expect much when you get it home to plug it in. It's not complete. The game was made by a kid named Rick. He's now a man, because you know that's how time works. But back in the day, he actually made a completed version of Vong for the 2600. A couple of people in the homebrew scene approached him to make a version for the 25th anniversary of the Atari 7800. And I don't know, there was some drama with that. It wasn't completed. They got antsy. He's like, I'm a kid, leave me alone. They basically sold 5 copies of this thing, according to him, without his permission. Maybe according to them, they had his permission. I have no idea. It's weird that drama exists in a hobby where people make old games for old systems, and to the outside world, we're all a bunch of weirdos. But let's remember, Vong is not really completed. And so, therefore, if we were going to rate it, which I will now because it's on a card, it's a dud. But if you're really interested about it, you can now download the ROM at the Atari Age forum, where I basically said, Atari 7800 Vong, what the hell is this? And Trevor has listed that little ROM on the thread, so you can download it and at least look at what's going on. I don't want to poo-poo on Rick too bad. He was a kid when he made it. And back in 2008, you got to remember, this was back before there was a lot of documentation on how to program for the 7800, because basically it was a fire sale. When they said the 7800's done, they started throwing computers in the trash, and all the documentation was starting to get thrown out of the windows, and there was only a few Atari employees savvy enough to grab the information and be like, we need to keep this for prosperity's sake. So this kid did a real good job, because nowadays it's a lot easier to make a really good 7800 game. Back in the 16 years ago, especially when you didn't know what you were really doing, pretty tall task. So Vong, rare, interesting, kind of released under some controversy, and at the end of the day, not very fun. Might as well play horizontal pong, or as I like to call it, hong.